All right, guys, so this is another update on the roadway. As you can see, let me get you a little closer. But you can see that the stone that I'm using now is actually what they call riprap. And what it is pretty big, at least 6 to possibly 12-inch stone that I got here locally. And basically it's doing a very good job of just putting down a good base, a good foundation on the roadway. And basically I just lay it down. This is roughly a foot, in some areas a foot and a half, in some areas a little less. I'm getting up on the area where I didn't go that deep in the uphill to the right of the screen, the uphill side of the roadway. I went pretty thin, and there's some areas that were wet. So you can see here that we got some water on the other side of the roadway, and basically the mud is coming up and coming through. So whatever stone that was there is now part of the mud. And a little further up the road you can see as well 2 more ruts that are beginning to form. Another area that was wet, and combination, I did not go deep or put enough stone in those areas. So I will be repairing those areas, trying to get this done before it freezes. Once the ground freezes, then it's not going to be that much of an issue. But for now, I'm getting a lot of trucks in. I'm moving around 7 trucks a day. Yesterday I did 7, which is my record. Before was 4, but I found another place closer, and they fill me up right away. They have plenty of stone. So what I'm doing here is going further in. You can see where it changed. I did have some a couple of loads of fines, what they call fines as well. So you can see the it looks like dirt, but that's crushed stone to the point where it's very fine. And that's what I had for a couple of these loads, and didn't turn out too well. I got stuck right in this area as well, and had to get pulled out. So yeah, it's really, at this point, once I'm going down low on the roadway, to give a good foundation, especially since this area, you can see here, another area where there's water. But if you look here, there's no major issue, because I have enough stone on top of it. And even if it does sink down, it sinks down and locks in, and it's not too bad. So yeah, the high side of the roadway is going to be the side that's going to need a little more rock. But this rock is very, very good, and it's used a lot of times. You see the abutments of roadways, like as they cross the highway. Sometimes you'll see this large rock stacked up on the side of the roadway, that basically builds the roadway up to the level that it can create an overpass. So but yeah, so I got a good that's 50, 100, almost 200 feet of this stone laid over the last couple of days, and it's been going well. And there's another good point about this stone, and it's very coarse and very rough. So it's has a lot of grip to it. Basically, some of the other stone I was using, it really is just rocks, and a lot of them are smooth, so it doesn't lock together as good as this stone. Really locks together, and it interlocks with the other stone, and once it touches another stone, it locks in very, very good. Creates the friction needed in order to set. So yeah, this is something that's working out well. So you see I have another place now for the skid steer, park it off to the side. And what I did, since the plant is closed on Saturday, yesterday I got 4 loads, and pretty much dropped 1 there, second one here, third one here, and fourth one here. So this is a huge mountain, and what I'm going to do now is go ahead and get the skid steer. I just cut out a little small tree there in front of it. I'm going to go through those trees, get to the other side, and actually start to scoop the rock and spread it and put a good base down, continuing the roadway. So yeah, so that's where we're at right now.
Many, many minutes later.
All right, so as you can see here, I got stuck. So starting from the lowland and trying to scoop the gravel and spread it out in reverse definitely doesn't work. I just learned the hard way. So I was able to move some of the rock from the higher point down enough to get me some traction. And this is, yeah, I was bottoming out here. You can see definitely bottoming out. That's a rut and that's another rut. So yeah, this is my adventures. First time landowner and operating this equipment on my own, and it's definitely a learning curve. So I will be leaving this thing up on the gravel for now. Next step is to, by hand, throw some stone back down into these ruts, build it back up, at least up to this point, and then I'm going to use this area to scoop stone, but I have to be on stone when I'm operating the skid steer. Otherwise I get myself into trouble, and it doesn't look like it's wet, but it definitely is further you go down into the soil. So that's an area right there that's very wet. It's standing water. So my sense is everything here right under the surface is going to be just as wet. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Basically, when I came through the bushes over here, you can see this is another area, deep ruts. And I would have definitely, I started bottoming out here, so I would have definitely got stuck here as well if I didn't get the skid steer moving. And looked like one side got some traction on the rocks. That's what saved me. But yeah, I need a turnaround area. I need an area where I can bring my trailer in, unhitch it, and be able to turn my truck around. And this is not a highland, but it's pretty wide as far as the opening. That's the only tree that's blocking that pathway, and this is where I plan on moving forward. So it something that you can't rush. I gotta at least smooth out one or two of these loads, so I'll be able to operate a little more, but it's gonna take some muscle, and that's part of the deal, you know. Definitely could have hired a contractor, but I am one that likes to do as much as possible by myself. So got my skid steer up on relatively high ground, but I'm not going to be leaving it here until I can get something a little more stable to park it on. And yeah, that's going to be important. I may be gone for a week, so by the time I come back, if there's a lot of rain, I don't want any problems. So any more problems than what I ran into today. All right, guys, so as you can see, the skid steer is on top of the pile now. So what I actually had to do was, once I got it out of this area here where it was stuck, no more running the skid steer on the ground, because the ground definitely is holding a lot of water. So I went ahead and moved a lot of these stones and got them to a place. You can see that's one track there to the left, and I moved a lot of the stones back down because there was a couple of ruts that were made here as well. So I got back through the bushes and back onto the gravel on the other side of this road here. And there's enough room here where I can swing a U-turn. So I swung a U-turn around here and came around, and basically the first mound was where the rear of the skid steer is now. And what I did was I spread that out and I just backed it down more and more onto the level ground here, and spread it out a little bit so I can start to get up the pile. And once I was able to get up a little bit more, I started pushing some of the stone to the right, because this cluster of trees here is going to come down. It's in the way. It's way too tight of a squeeze between this cluster and this cluster. They're right next to each other. It's roughly 10 feet, somewhere in that range. So I'm going to take this. I was planning on taking this out anyway, and running the roadway right against that pine to the right there, and getting rid of this. But this is going to take a mini excavator, so for now I just left it up in order to get that stump out. And the stump is pretty high compared to the roadway behind it, or the ground behind it. So yeah, so I was able to push. Once I was able to start to push some of the stone to the right here, then I was able to scoop from the other piles and move it over and get it to the point where I am now. So this is pretty much level enough so I can operate the skid steer up here, and I'm going ahead and just starting to continue to push all of this rock forward. So there's a lot off to this side. I'm going to try to capture as much as possible, because I don't plan on making this road here anytime soon. But again, I don't want to go down there with the skid steer and get stuck again, so I will be trying to get as much of this rock. This is like a 5 foot pile right now. Get as much of this rock moved onto the roadway here, and until I get my mini excavator in here, I'll be able to come back and scoop a lot of this rock that ends up on the side of the roadway, and utilize it somewhere else on the property. So I would imagine I'm probably going to get another 50 feet if things go well, with this existing pile that I have here. Once I start to spread it out, should be getting another 50 feet, and possibly have enough room so when I do bring my trailer in here, I can back it somewhere, and maybe even here, and park it here, allowing me enough room to pass and do what I have to do, and also open the rear door, which is going to look like it's going to be a little tight there. There's a couple trees that are in the way. But yeah, park it somewhere off to the side as I continue my endeavors here in getting this roadway completed. So it's probably another 80 feet to go. So I think this pile will get me 50 feet, and then another 30 odd feet. And there's a slight incline. I'll have to build that up. But for now, no more pit. Getting out of that pit of a little bit more, and I would have been really stuck, because the skid steer would have ended up being on its belly, and from that point you gotta pull it out. Or I was actually using the bucket as well to try to pull myself out of that hole. But yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at now. So you can see where I'm at. The roadway's behind it, and all of this is basically a pile of good rock. I love this rock, so this is definitely going to help me make sure that the roadway has a good foundation. So yep, all right, I'm going to leave the skid steer here. This is plenty high enough to make sure I don't have any issues with the track sinking into the mud even further. Yeah, so all right guys, catch you on the next update.